Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Last Zebra. I'm your host, Ugo Ezema. And as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment on the video. And today I have a very special guest, as always.
Thank you.
Allison Cazenave.
Yes,
Thanks for coming by.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for... I know you drove a good ways to get here.
It's nothing.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
So I am originally from Homa. Grew up there. I went to Terrebonne, and then I met my husband, and we moved to Thibodeau. In the interim, did my internship at Southern University for Dietetics. So we lived in Baton Rouge for a little while, and then we were so excited, and then we got there, and 2-3 months went in, and we're like, I miss home. So we started driving home every weekend. So we're homebodies. So we're back in Thibodeau, and that's where we live.
Dietetics. What is that?
So food and nutrition is the easy way to put it. Just the aspect of eating well, living well, and it encompasses physical activity and obviously healthy eating, but it's kind of a broad spectrum of food and nutrition.
How did you get into that?
That's a great question. Couldn't really give you an honest answer because it was not a direct method to getting in. I did have family members with comorbid conditions that I did see that food and diet changes could have helped. But playing soccer all through high school, college, the athletic side of it tempted me. And I'm a picky eater. So living on chicken tenders and pizza through college sports was not doing me any good. So it was kind of a combination of a few different things.
Gotcha. And you did your college at Nichols State,
Yes.
both of our alma mater.
Yes.
Did you go into Nichols wanting to do dietetics?
No, I went in doing nursing like everybody else does. And then first semester they said, oh, we're going to draw blood in the future. And I'm like, nope, I'm out. I don't know what I thought going in, why I didn't think drawing blood was involved. But
And that was one semester in?
first semester. So I switched.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was the thought process switching? What were your options? And then you narrowing down to dietetics?
I don't know. I don't think I really thought it through. I know I wanted to do health in general, but to say that I went in from nursing and went straight to food I'm not sure. I can't think of a thought process that went through my mind at that time. Like, oh, that sounds fun. Other than, oh, well, maybe that'll be cool as I'm an athlete and I have to eat to do well. So maybe I should try that.
It's all good. And nursing then, how did you get into nursing? How was, growing up, did you always want to be a nurse? Or?
No, I wanted to be a vet because
Oh.
I love animals. But then when we went to the vet and saw some of the things that they had to do, specifically taking temperatures, I was like, nah, that's not for me.
And drawing blood? Did they draw blood at the vet?
I mean, now I know that they do. I don't remember that being a thought process then, but it was more the temperatures.
What's the closest vet school to Homa?
I'm not sure. I
wonder
never went that far into it.
I wonder if there's one in New Orleans. I'm sure there has
sure
to be
there
one in
is.
New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so after say high school, or while you were in high school, you were thinking, okay, I'll do nursing.
Nursing all the way because that's what the cool kids do.
The cool kids do
Cool
nursing.
kids do nursing.
Why not anything else? You were in athletics. Why not
Yeah.
say soccer, football, as
Yeah.
I call it?
Yeah.
Why not something more in
Like
line?
sports performance?
Yeah.
I mean, I've dabbled in the credentialing side, like possibly personal training on the side. I started courses for it, but just never really went through with it. So I'm not sure.
Wow, interesting.
Dabbled in a few different things.
What was that first, aside from the blood, what was that first semester like for nursing?
I mean, that was just basics. That was like your Englishes, your maths. That was nothing really nursing driven.
It was just a simple stuff.
Yeah, like your biochem and all that. And when they mentioned blood, I was like, I'm out, sorry, because I'm gonna pass out.
How long have you been in your current position now?
At Terrebonne, I've been there about 5.5 years, and at Marybird Perkins, I've been there about 5.
What's the difference between what you're doing for the first 5 and at Marybird Perkins? So you've been doing
So
this
I've
now
been total 5 years at Terrebonne General itself.
Gotcha.
And then about a half a year into my inpatient. So I started in the hospital.
Okay.
And then I was kind of thrust into Marybird because someone had left, the dietitian that was covering. So they said, we need somebody and everybody else has a task. So this is yours.
And Marybird, for those who don't know, is our cancer oncology,
Yes.
I guess, department, if you will.
Yeah, our cancer center.
Our cancer center. That's probably the best way to say it. Cancer center at Terrebonne. So is it now focused primarily on cancer patients and their nutrition needs and all that stuff?
So my job is currently full-time. When I started, like I was saying, about 5 years ago, it was only 1 day a week with radiation patients. And I didn't find that was very fair to only have certain patient populations get seen by a dietitian. And so we asked for funding and advice, and Root for a Reason is a great group of guys, and they wanted to allocate their funds from their fundraiser to a specific cause. They had done the mobile unit, the prevention, and they wanted a new endeavor. So we presented the idea to them, and they took to it. So since then, I've been able to create a full program. I'm there 5 days a week. I see all active patients, and it's grown so much, and it's wonderful.
Active patients within oncology, for
Yes,
sure.
all patients going through cancer treatment at our facility.
Why do you think there was an initial focus on just radiation patients? Is there a higher nutritional demand on radiation patients compared to other?
I would say yes and no. So physiologically, when you're going through radiation and it's to your head and neck, to the chest, to the lung, you can have more challenges physiologically eating. So I think, and then with time and bodies, they didn't have anybody to do it. So we were taken from inpatient to go see these patients on top of our inpatient census. So it was the persons, the hours, and then those were their considered high needs demand patients, when in fact it's everybody, to be honest.
Do you feel, and I think I myself in the past few years, so 3 years or so, the role of nutrition in the management of cancer patients is becoming more prominent. I feel like it wasn't always like that.
No. I mean, when you're behind on your nutrition, so if you've lost a significant amount of weight, if you've been undernourished or malnourished, it's very hard to A, catch up, and B, get ahead. It's such a unforgiving process within the body that you can't fall behind. So that's why another reason I was trying to promote a proactive nutrition approach. So whether these patients are already in a malnourished state or they're fully nourished, just starting treatment, we want to educate them to stay on top of their nutrition so they don't fall behind. So we're not as trying to catch up.
Right. Curious about how that, because there's also now a movement, or I feel like a modern movement where fasting is concerned. You know, the 1 meal a day,
don't do that.
fast. Don't do it in general, or don't do it in that patient population.
In a body, anybody's physiological body, you need a certain allotment of nourishment per day. And when we don't get it, your body can start to go into deprivation, starvation. So then other organ systems have to compensate, and it's just a ever going cycle. So I don't love fasting, but specifically in the oncology population, when we're already at a higher demand, you need more nutrition, you need more nutrients to heal. I mean, just take radiation. That's like a sunburn every day for, let's say, up to 6 weeks. You need nourishment to heal those tissues. You need the nutrients, the vitamins, the protein. If you're fasting, you can't get it.
And there's a lot on the internet and on social media that, you know, people promote a lot of these things.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure it can be adjusted to certain situations. Like if you are at an overweight state and you want to do like let's say, an 18-hour fast. I mean, there are benefits to fasting, but to say that you're not getting your nourishment in your feed time, that's when I struggle to of go through with it. Because
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to ask, so is it more that you're not getting enough nourishment as opposed to that you're fasting?
Yes.
So
the fasting window can be helpful, definitely.
Gotcha.
Like let's say an overnight 18-hour fast.
Yeah.
Again, not where we're undernourished.
Right.
If you can fit all of your nutrition, your nutritional intake in within your feed window, albeit.
What's the biggest thing you've learned, or the most important thing or surprising thing that you've learned in the last 5 years in your field?
Okay. I mean, most surprising is that people just don't really understand whole foods, what a true meal should look like. We're so accustomed to processed foods, fast foods, quick, convenient. When I'm telling people to to fill half their plate up with fruits and vegetables, they look at me with like a deer in headlights, because that's not what Raising Cane serves.
Right,
It's just,
shout out to Raising Cane.
we've gotten so fast paced as a society that nutrition gets pushed to the back burner so frequently. And then secondly, like with my outside counseling that I do, just women in general undereat so much when we're trying to diet. It's mind blowing when we're looking at calorie restrictions and diets. I mean, you need, like I said, a certain allotment. Well, when we go in these low calorie diets, everyone starts at like 1,200, 1,300 calories, and not every body, literal body, needs that. So when, again, we're looking at a chronic deprivation, then everything starts to spiral.
That's interesting to me, especially because, well, I don't know when it began, but the way dieting has become such a, it's like pop culture thing.
Yeah, it's like the lowest calorie you can find. These are 100 calorie Oreos. Let me go for them.
Right. Shout out to Oreos.
Yeah, stop.
I'm just teasing. What is a complete meal then? For those that don't know.
So we'll look at 50% of your plate, fresh fruits, vegetables, color. 50% non-starchy, color. 25% protein. So a quarter of your plate should be a healthy protein. So let's say chicken, beef, pork, any kind of really animal product. You can do plant proteins as well. So beans, nuts, legumes, those would be plant proteins. And then 25% carbs. And then you do need to have some healthy fats in there, just a small pinch, but you need the healthy fat, whether it's avocado, again, nuts and seeds, they do give you healthy fats too, or healthy oils like extra virgin olive oil. So you want to try to have a complete plate every time you sit down.
One of the things that I've heard, especially as a provider, is to eat healthy is really expensive.
It can be, but so is medical care. You want to get on that conversation.
That's a bar.
So yeah, look at your medications. If you're, let's use diabetes, for example, how many medications are you on? If we would have done things, let's say preventative fashion, if healthy eating was the forefront of your process, we might not have been at that place now. Now, granted, it is more expensive for healthier foods, but you're looking at your health in general. So are we going to put a price on it?
You're right. But it takes a lot of, internal dig, like you have to really dig deep to kind of have that kind of foresight, right? To be like, well, if I do this now, it pays it's
the longevity, your health in the long run. It is.
What's your conversation like with your clients and with your patients? What's that conversation like to kind of have them keep an eye on the longevity, however you say it? How do you help them keep focused on that aspect of it?
Sure.
On a day-to-day basis, let alone a meal-to-meal basis.
Sure. So, I mean, when I look at someone's just intake in general. So first we assess what they're eating, what their patterns look like, what their day look like, because everyone is moving and going so fast. And then we're going to start here, and then we'll worry about we'll worry about later. But if we get the concepts now, it just becomes habit. So if your habit is to start with your salad first, or start with your vegetables first, well, then we can kind of focus on the rest. But we don't necessarily talk longevity until we've kind of got the current down pat, because you don't want to overwhelm them either. Because like you said, it's literally a meal to meal choice.
Right.
Food is comfort. And guess what? Not everyone's comfortable. We're all stressed. We're all zooming through life, and it's easy just to grab and go instead of take the time, prepare your meals. Or even like when you're at a restaurant, the mac and cheese looks really good. The salad doesn't look as good sometimes. So just to kind of get in more the habitual, this is what I need to do.
Frequent small meals versus, say, good, like three nice size meals. So breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Depends what you prefer. So I don't have a give or take on that. In the oncology realm, I'll tell you, we usually do small frequent meals, because side effects from treatments, medications can cause some troubles, eating, chewing, swallowing, digestion, all of the above. Same on the outside. So if you're having digestion issues or you're having trouble with snacking, well, let's make your meal smaller so that you can have better snacks. We're not just craving, again, the Oreos. We're not grabbing the Oreos. We're having quality snacks. That was probably a little bit of what your meal would entail, but we're just going to kind of scoot it back 2 or 3 hours.
Nice. And you have children?
I have two.
Two of them?
Yes.
Boy, girl, boy, girl?
Boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
Yes.
How old are they?
7 and 2, and don't ask me how they eat.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Okay, let's go there then.
How is that? Given your breadth of knowledge
Sure.
on nutrition,
Sure.
how you act as a parent and how you act as a provider
Completely
is
different. But I will
very
tell you,
different.
my son is 7 and he is autistic, so he is very specific on the foods that he does eat. So we do focus. I like to make jokes and say I'm the dietitian that feeds my son pizza every day, because he really does thrive on pizza. And we're working, he's in speech therapy, occupational therapy, feeding therapy. He's in the therapies he needs, and he's finally coming around. So he actually just ate an Oreo again for the first time, probably about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
He's just tried fried shrimp. He's making his own little Lunchable pizzas. I know it sounds wild to think that kids don't like these things, but it's like pulling your hair out to try to make, it's not even the process of him eating. It's him psyching himself out to know that he doesn't eat it, and he's never tried it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's why I joke and say I'm the dietitian that feeds my son pizza, because I know he eats it. I mean, I know it's not a good product, but we're working on it.
Right.
And my daughter eats whatever, even the stuff off the floor. She'll put things on the floor and act like an animal and eat it. So she eats what we eat.
Yeah. Is what I wanted to ask about the pizza. Is there, because you can make a healthy pizza?
You can, but not for my son.
Gotcha.
He knows the difference. Like I'm talking like Domino's to Papa John's knows the difference.
Wow.
He likes a certain kind, a certain shape. It's that consistency for him, and he doesn't like to venture off. So the feeding therapy has been so helpful.
Gotcha. And you mentioned that there is a physical component to dietetics. Is that separate from, say, just being a physical trainer or like how do you, what's the
How
marriage
we combine them?
Yeah.
So referrals out for sure. I mean, just in general, broad knowledge. I do exercise, so I kind of know some of I would say the ins and out. But recommendation consensus is 150 minutes of exercise, cardiovascular wise, a week, 2 days. You can divvy that up however you need to, and then 2 days a week of strength training. Now, personally, I prefer more strength training compared to cardio.
Okay.
Just because I want muscle. I want skeletal muscle in your body. That helps you burn fat long term. And I don't want the frailty. I don't want the sarcopenia that is, again, coming with this just wave of poor food choices. So that's just kind of my perspective, but I do refer out if I need like a personal trainer or PT kind of thing.
And I know that certainly as we get older, we want to have more muscle mass anyway. Because
and guess what we typically do? Lose it.
Exactly. So we lose it, and that makes us more prone to all the problems that elderly folks have, going back to the frailty and all.
Yep.
Upper body and lower body. I've read recently that as you get older, you should kind of optimize on lower body. I mean, is that consistent with anything? Okay. I don't know. I think because of hip fractures,
just the frailty of it,
falls, and all that stuff.
I think if we optimize the whole body, you'd kind of hit the nail on the head too.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the strength training is only twice a week. Wow. And that's just your standard recommendation.
Yeah. That's the American Institute for Shoots.
One of them.
One of the
There's
institutes.
American Institute of Strength Training.
America.
Of America. Okay. What's your current, I guess, day-to-day flow like?
Oh gosh. You want to know when I wake up to when I go to bed?
Yeah.
So I get up at 4 every morning on the weekdays. 4 o'clock. I do work for my consulting from 4 to 5:30. I work out from 5:30 to 6. I get ready for myself from 6 to 6:30. Get my son and my daughter up at 6:30. Leave the house at 7. We get to work for 8 and work from 8 to 4:30. Go get my child. Have family time till my daughter goes down about 7:30, and then I do consulting work from about 7:30 to 9.
Are most of the consulting virtual then?
Yes.
Got you. So
yes, mostly virtual. I do have some in person, but mostly virtual.
How does that translate in terms of assessing like body needs, or you're trusting a lot on your
trusting? Yeah. It's a communication for sure. I do have recommendations for people that want more in-depth analysis to do like a body composition analysis like we do at the Cancer Center. So they do have machines that specifically tell a patient how much skeletal muscle they have, how much body fat, how much water weight, and then where it is. So if we can adjust their exercises with their personal trainer to make sure that we focus on, you can't target fat loss, but you can work a little harder in those areas to gain strength so that you lose body fat. So we do use that as far as if someone wants more like legit numbers, other than just communication.
Right. You mentioned we're talking a little bit about your current, what is it?
Day-to-day routine.
Yeah, no, but what you do outside of work, the consulting.
Yes.
Right. You just started that?
Yes, in about October-ish.
What prompted you to do that?
I've always thought about it, but never acted on it. And then one of my dietetics friends said, "You want to do this? Like, if we do it together, like at the same time, maybe we can bounce off of each other and support." And I was like, "Sure, let's do it."
How's that different from what you do from 9 to 4?
So just patient population. And we at Mary Bird don't charge the patients. So it's a free service for their, while they're on their treatments. Outside would just be a consult. So a little bit different. And it's, I would say not as much chronic comorbid conditions, more just general health is what I've had so far. Not to say that it's not going to change, but just, I would say different as far as patient population for sure. Because, you're going from oncology, which is a relatively sicker patient, to someone who just wants to lose 10 pounds. There is a difference there.
Is it in the client population outside of the hospital that you're seeing, what is the biggest deficit? Is it nutrition or physical? And I understand that we're in South Louisiana where I'm
going to say both. A hot both. Or like I was saying earlier, the undernutrition, like the diet culture. I've had patients just recently log everything they ate, and they were getting 800 calories a day. It's just
800.
Yeah. And it's no fault to them, but that's the diet culture. The less that we eat, the more weight we're going to lose, right? And it's to educate as well. It's something that's missed as far as the educational piece behind weight loss.
So this is actually very surprising to me, because I assumed that there was overnutrition.
You see both, obviously, to get to a point where you are overweight, but there's also imbalances. There could be hormones at play. There could be quite a few different little, stress. All of that plays into adiposity and body fat storage. And then when you start to pull back and try to cut the calories, we go in such an extreme deficit that we're stuck. You lose the weight originally, that first 5 to 10 pounds, and then you're just stuck.
And of course, the most important way, at least as I understand, is to try and be consistent, and then making sure you're making the right decisions on the macros and micros.
There you go. I like it. Yes. You do want to try to have a balance. Now, like I tell my clients, it's not about perfection, because I don't want you to be perfect. I just want you to find balance. We give them recommendations like where we should try to fall. If you're not there, it's okay, but at least be relatively close, because everything's estimated. Unless you're going into a machine that tells you literally what you need, it's all an estimate. So if you're moving your body purposefully, if you're making good choices, you're managing your stress, you're sleeping good, those things should all start to fall into play.
In your day-to-day schedule, I didn't pick out a time for outside hobbies. What do you do for your own self?
For my sanity, I love to run. So I just finished my first full marathon in January.
Which one was it?
On top of starting, I did the Louisiana Marathon. Right around the time I started my consulting. So it was like a whirlwind. Yeah. I just like, and I was asked recently, what do you think about when you're running? And my answer is nothing, absolutely nothing, which is good, because when you're pulled in so many different directions constantly, that's my reprieve. Sitting in the bathtub, not doing anything is not going to relax me. Being outside, running, just jamming to my music, that's my space.
How did you find running?
Playing soccer.
Ah.
And I hated it. So I never thought I would pick it back up because that was our quote unquote punishment. If you did something wrong, you go run laps, you know, that's sports. So you get more in shape when you learn your lesson. But now it's quiet time for me. And my husband is like, you went run too long. The kids are crazy. I'm like, well, sorry.
I get that. What was the Louisiana Marathon like? It was your first one,
wonderful,
right?
Yes. And I plan to do it again. 26.2 miles.
Wow. What was the training up to that like?
So it was strategically placed where you do basically a long run and then a recovery week, and you just kind of amp up by 2 or 3 miles. So I think it was like a 16-week course. I ran my first half marathon in October when we went to Disney World. So it was kind of like back-to-back events. And I used that training, the half marathon training, to just progress into the full marathon.
You said it was amazing.
It was.
What was so amazing about
finishing? Because I never thought I would finish ever. Like 13.1 half marathon was like my cap out. I never in a million years thought I would do it. And I ran the full like 13.1 and then I did kind of interval runs for the second half. So, I mean, there's always room to improve, but to say you finished a marathon, it's exciting.
That's awesome. We've had quite a few runners on the show. I like saying that, the show. We've had quite a few runners on the podcast. And everyone speaks so highly of it. My wife just started running.
It's such an endorphin, I would say release, and you get so much from it too. I don't know.
I don't like it.
You could do it. I know you can.
I am not going to do it.
It's like burpees.
Definitely not burpees. I absolutely detest burpees. I do. I play soccer. And
so you can run.
It's not the same, is it? Though?
It's not.
Yeah. And it's funny because I do love it whenever I decide to run. The last time I actually ran in any sort of consistency was in college. I used to run around campus in the evenings after class. And once, I guess, after I graduated, I just never did it again.
Yeah.
And I've certainly never run a marathon, let alone a half marathon.
We could do it in next January.
Crescent City? Are you going to do that? Is that a full or half?
That's a 10K. And I have a half right before that, the Shamrock half. So
Shamrock, that's also here? Gotcha.
New Orleans.
Gotcha. I don't think I've heard of a Shamrock half before.
That used to be I think it was a 9K, 10K. I'm not sure. It was a shorter distance. They just added the half to it.
Gotcha. Are you treadmill running, but you kind of hinted at you ran outside?
I do both. So I run outside on the weekends, and I do treadmills like as part of my morning workouts 2 days a week during the week to kind of get distance and just endurance. But my longer runs are weekends.
Gotcha.
When my husband has the kids.
Shout out to the husbands.
That's right. Shout out.
Working out fasted versus not fasted.
Oh, I just had this question this morning.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to either. I prefer to be fueled, and I do educate to try to be fueled. But if fasted is where you jam, then go for it. I feel like you can optimize your workout more if you do have the fuel to strongly go through your workout rather than just going through the motions.
Right.
But
I've heard this on social media before. Someone saying that it's better to show up and do something than to not show up at all.
Yeah, start for 5 minutes. If you're not feeling it and it's terrible, try again. But if I'm guaranteeing you, if you get in 5 minutes of your workout, you're going to finish because you start to feel good. It sucks to get started. I'm not going to lie. 4 o'clock sucks to get up. 5:30 sucks to start. But once I'm in it, I'm in it. You know, put some good music on.
And just grind it out. Sleep. How much sleep do you get? And do you talk about sleep as part of your...
I do.
Okay.
I do, because so much happens when we don't sleep well. So we want to sleep at least probably 8 or 9 hours for most people. Yeah, I know. I personally go to bed when my sun goes down at about 9 o'clock and crash like within probably 5 minutes. My husband, shout out, can attest to it. And I can't fit any more in my day, so I can't sleep later. But that's just me. Ideally would be between 8 and 9 hours. Ideally. 7 is kind of next to ideal, you know? Yeah. And again, we're looking at such a fast-paced world. People give up their sleep to do other things.
What's your next best way to ensure that you get your proper sleep?
Take naps at work. No, I'm just kidding.
Are naps good? Naps are good.
I mean, it will count it as your sleep, right? Yeah, you get more productive if you take naps.
Like a
Maybe
nice
we
little
should
power nap.
push for a nap time.
Yeah, because there are a lot of countries in Europe that
They
have
really do,
siestas,
absolutely.
and apparently it works really well.
Yeah.
I grew up on siestas. My dad would always make us go to, and
Yeah.
to this day, it actually affects me as an adult. And like after one-ish, like I want to take a
So
nap.
like a 10-minute power nap. It's a thing.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
Yeah. We should probably incorporate that into American culture as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's next? What are you looking forward to now? Now that you started your
gosh.
consultant service.
I don't really have a ideal vision. I just right now I'm just cruising. I would love to continue to grow it and reach more people. So I'm only credentialed currently in Louisiana, working on getting other states too, so I can have license in other states and do virtual consults for other states. See where it takes me. I don't really have a pinpoint idea of where I want to go.
It's interesting to me that you like one license doesn't kind of carry over. Why is there such a difference across states?
I'm not sure. I know each state has their different licensing agency. So I applied for another state's agency. They have to accept me, approve me, verify that obviously I am a dietitian. I have nothing against my name as far as in the dietetics world. So I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to look that up because it would, especially if you're doing a lot of it is virtual anyway. I'm wondering why there would even be any sort of resistance to not being statewide, essentially across the entire country.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And that's probably a newer push since all the virtuals started to happen. So they may not even have a definitive answer to my knowledge.
Right.
Since COVID, obviously everything's really just shifted to virtual. So I don't know that it was as big of a challenge when they kind of made those rules and regulations. So that may be in the works. Just, I'm not sure.
Yeah. It would make sense to kind of just have it as a general thing that a lot more people have access to it.
Yeah.
Access to a how do you say it?
Dietitian.
Dietitian. I'm struggling with my words today. Is there any sort of essentially like mentorship that you offer? Like, are there people that come up to you and are like, hey, like, how do I get into this? And if so, how do you encourage someone to get into dietetics?
I have not yet, but at Mary Bird, I do have Nichols interns that come with me for each semester during their internship. So I've had that side of it, but it's more of a scheduled. It's not someone just approaching me. I don't think I'm that cool, but I do have the interns that come. So I show them oncology, that whole realm. They follow me for a week. So it's really exciting to see fresh minds and all their ideas because they're younger. They know the new and up and coming things, so they can teach an old bird like me some new tricks.
We spoke a little bit about incorporating, nutrition, obviously physical exercise into primary care. How can we do that? Because we should be leaning more towards prevention.
We should.
In South Louisiana, food culture is a big thing.
Absolutely.
Specifically for South Louisiana, how in your estimation can we shift that culture in a way that we don't lose some of that root?
Yeah. I mean, just making the healthier choices in general, but I think in not private practice, but just general physician care, having a dietitian referral base is just a great idea. I don't think we have that. Right. So we have the dietitians like at a hospital or facility, but like a primary care physician, instead of first starting with a medicine, let's try a healthful approach. Let's try the weight loss. Let's try the healthy eating instead of just going right to a cholesterol medicine, and you're trending, you're watching these as a physician, I'm going to assume, and you know that it's probably creeping up unless it's a new patient, but creeping up over the last 4 months. Well, in the first 2 months, you saw it creep up. Why couldn't we have referred out to make those changes so that we didn't get to the point where we need to start a medicine? Because all medicine has side effects.
Right.
Do we want to start there? Why can't we start out somewhere else?
You think there's a correlation between that and how much people want to get quicker results?
Yes, and I also think, again, we're in South Louisiana. It's not everyone's ideal cup of tea to start let's say, quote unquote, diet or start eating healthy. They want to just live the life they live, and that's okay. But to have that option and to educate the patients on this change, or let's say the options that they do have, instead of, hey, we need to start you on this medicine, your cholesterol is out of control. You know what I mean? Just to give them those pre-options rather than waiting.
Right. We say lifestyle modifications all the time in medicine because that's what it really takes, right? So you have to, it has to be a long-term kind of lifestyle. So, and dieting tends to be fatty, FADDY.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a real word.
That's why I hate using the word diet. I want it to be a lifestyle change. I want you to change your understanding, but I also want you to change your mindset to where it's just, this is how it should be, not how it was before. It's not a diet. We don't want to go back to it, you know?
Educating is probably one of the biggest burdens that I have as a provider in when I'm talking to my patients. Like, so, you know, when the conversation for lifestyle modification comes up, that's a particular challenge, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it takes time, a lot of time, and sometimes the clinic setting doesn't afford you that kind of time.
It doesn't.
What can we do as providers that where we're kind of leaving our patients much more informed about their decisions about lifestyle modification? What do you think is a good way for us to impart some of that?
Yeah.
Wisdom?
I mean, that's hard because the patient has to be receiving of the information too.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone that didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, well, guess what? I don't know what I want to do next week either. So when you're giving them this information, they may not be receiving of that. So using like keywords like important to your health, you know, making sure that it's emphasized that the benefit of this conversation is for their future self, not their current self, can, I mean, help. And having that referral partner too, like, so you can talk up them. It's not always going to be you that has to have that hard conversation. It can be the other person. So like, let's say for me, for instance, if someone sends me a referral, I can take the wheel on it and I can educate the patient. So you don't have to spend 30 minutes of your appointment time talking to the patient about something I could be doing.
Right.
You know, to maximize your time in the clinic as well. Because again, time is precious.
Time is precious. It's probably the only commodity that's worth having at this time.
Yeah, and we can't get more of it.
Yeah, it runs out. What's your favorite part of these patient interactions, and especially in terms of success and maybe a little bit of failure? Like what is it that keeps you motivated as you're talking to?
I love a good challenge. Okay. So I kind of look at each patient as a different challenge. How can I help them be successful? So it challenges me to find the right tools, recommendations, suggestions, whether it's at Mary Bird for oncology patients or even outside on my private practice. And everybody has their own challenges. How can I make that easier for them? So that kind of keeps me motivated to keep looking for more. Because just because we were successful the first 3 months doesn't mean months 4, 5, and 6 weren't new challenges. Right. It's an ever evolving kind of thing.
What's the biggest thing that patients fall back on? What's the biggest
old
setback?
Habits? They don't die hard. It's just so easy to fall back into the comfort of not having to, I don't want to say try because that's not the right word, but put forth extra effort that at some point we feel like we don't have, because again, we're making new habits and that's not easy. So finding the new normal and then you cruise control, you just smooth sail. But that time period where it's harder tend to fall back sometimes.
For your cancer patients that are on the up and up and on the mend, they're doing better. Is there a way for continuity beyond? And
there is. So we do survivorship appointments at Mary Bird where you meet with me, the dietitian. We have a You Thrive program, which is physical fitness. So we have that aspect too. They meet with a social worker. And on my end, I educate health beyond diagnosis. So what kind of foods are better for your cancer? How do you maintain a hopefully cancer-free survival? You know, we don't want you to progress and have development of a new cancer. We want you to never come back. I tell them that all the time. I love you, but I don't want to see you again unless it's like at Walmart or something. We'll high five, but I don't want to see you back here. So what can you do to your health by eating and food choices and healthy lifestyle to never come back.
You mentioned 50% of your plate should be colors, so fruits and vegetables. What are your go-to fruits and vegetables?
Well, everyone loves broccoli, right? Everyone thinks about broccoli is when I say diet. So really you want to eat the rainbow. So not Skittles, but you want to eat color, variety, every kind of red you can do. Green, blue, purple, orange. So it doesn't really make a difference. Now I can say, like, let's say take breast cancer, for instance. You really want to push cruciferous vegetables. It helps with their cancer-free survival. So oranges, yellows as well. So we want to kind of focus on those things. And then, but just in general, the rainbow, it's the best thing you can do.
Anyone will do. Bananas have been getting a lot of flack lately. I don't know why.
Sugar?
Is that it?
Yeah, they have a good bit of sugar. Yeah.
But I love me some bananas.
It's okay. You can love them.
Just don't eat too much of it. What in diabetics, is there in people that have diabetes, is there a limitation on those on fruits? Where sugars are concerned?
Yeah. So, you'd want to follow more of a glycemic index where you're doing the lower sugar fruits, like your berries, your melons. Those are a little bit lower compared to like a grape or a banana that's higher glycemic. That'll spike their blood sugar. So, and it's all in correlation to also what else they ate. Did they have a banana with a rice cake and a peanut butter that has sugar in it? And then we're looking at 3 types of carbs and sugars spiking their blood sugar. So yes and no. I don't want to eliminate anything, but it's all in moderation and in portions too.
Right. I wonder if I'll ever be able to do exactly, well, not exactly 50%, because I don't think I eat fruits more of as a snack as opposed to part of my actual meal.
Yeah. So you can do 50% veggies if you feel like that's your jam. Absolutely. The color.
Greens, reds, yellows, and purples. Yes. Your kids, we mentioned your son and your daughter. She's 2. 2. And so 2 means he's walking already, and
she is wild. She's more than walking. She's hanging off of things.
Nice. How was that different in raising your son and raising your daughter so far?
Night and day difference.
They're very different.
He's very easygoing, willing to please, do anything you can ask of him. She will look at you, tell you no to your face, and do exactly what you said not to do. So night and day difference.
Is she more you or your husband?
Oh, that's not fair. I'm going to say him because I was a good kid.
You're saying he was a bad kid?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Would you encourage any of your kids to kind of do what you're doing?
Absolutely. As far as like career-wise or just eating and in general?
Certainly career-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure eating in general, they'll probably kind of pick that up in transition.
Sure. And what we cook with, I mean, Catherine eats what we eat. So in transition, working on Cooper. But as far as career-wise, absolutely. They do have a new addition to get your dietetics degree. Now you have to have a master's. So that's a little bit harder. We were kind of grandfathered in because that came up as of, I think last year was the first year that they had to have their master's. So it's another year of schooling. A little bit harder if financially you're not able because you're already doing your internship for a year, non-paid. Right. And then now you have to do your master's. So some institutions do combine them. So that's nice. But again, if it's financially not feasible, it's a little hard.
So the dietetics would be a bachelor, and then to become a fully fledged.
To be able to sit now for your dietetics exam, you have to have a master's.
And the master's is an extra year.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. If you couldn't be a dietitian, what would you do?
Oh gosh. I would say probably like a personal trainer, physical activity, because that's just my jam. I don't like telling people what to do. My patients would tell me I'm a nice nudger. So I gently tell them what's good, and because I like them to have the idea that they want to do it. I don't want to tell you, eat your broccoli every day. You know, I'm not a drill sergeant, I guess. So I feel like personal training may be a little bit along that, but I do love the physical fitness. I like health in general. So I would say probably something along those lines.
Anything outside of health that you would consider doing?
Not speaking, not public speaking. Maybe we'll go to vet.
Vet.
I like animals. Maybe vet tech, so I don't have to do all the bad stuff. All the hard work.
You all have animals yourself?
Yes, we have dogs.
Dogs?
Dogs.
What kind?
2. I have a boxer and a black mouth cur.
I don't know what that second one is.
That's my husband's hunting dog.
Hunting. Okay.
Hunting dog.
Nice. How old are they?
Our boxer is about 7 months, so she's still a puppy. And our black mouth cur is probably 5 or 6, 4 or 5. I don't know. I don't remember the birthdays. I'm not a good dog mom anymore. I had 4 at one point. Before kids, we had 4, and one was a Great Dane. So we had our house full.
Wow. Yeah. Are you a dietitian for your dogs too?
No, they're overweight.
You don't look at you don't give them fruits and colors?
I don't. Oh. No, I get in trouble because I feed my dog too much. I get told she needs to be on a diet.
I want a dog, but I don't think I'm allowed to have one right now.
Oh, why not?
We have a cat.
Oh, ooh, okay.
Whoa, what was
they
that?
don't mix sometimes.
What you mean?
Sometimes cats and dogs don't mix.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, I would hope they would. And our cat his name is Ziggy, and they're supposed to, cats live a relatively long life, if I'm not mistaken. And especially his breed, he's a ragdoll. And I adore him. I've kind of always had cats. I love animals in general, but cats work best for my schedule because you don't have to.
They're self-sufficient.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. They show up and they kind of disappear.
Yeah.
I don't see Ziggy for days at a time, and then he'll just.
But you need a cuddle, buddy. Come on.
I don't know if I need a cuddle buddy, but he has a good sense for these things. So if you're having a bad day, I find
he
that
knows
cats
you.
know.
He can read you.
He'll just come by and he'll hang out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Our new puppy's a cuddler. She has to be by you all times.
You grew up with dogs and cats?
I did. I had a boxer. That's why we had to put our other dog down recently. So when, funny story, my husband took my son with him to go put my dog down.
Oh.
And he asked the vet, so where's the puppy that we're getting? Because he thought it was an even trade. 1 for 1. So we weren't looking to get a puppy, but with that comment, I was like, well, I guess we need to fill some shoes.
Gotta get one. And they've both grown up with
dogs.
having a dog or having somebody, a companion.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing I want about, because we didn't really grow up with pets. But I've always loved animals, like I was saying, but that I want my kids to have that.
Exactly.
And we do have
that best friend kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think that, you've kind of hinted that you haven't really planned out the future?
I have not.
But
day by day over here.
if you were forced, I always ask my guests, if you were forced in a year's time,
oh gosh,
where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Oh gosh. Okay. Really.
Actually, let's
far.
do a year, 5 years, and 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself?
I really ideally would love to grow what we have at Mary Bird Perkins. I want to have more than one of me. So obviously 2 dietitians. I want to be prevention heavy. So I want to be in the community to educate what we've just talked about. I've offered to go to the prevention sessions that they have, but I don't have enough time in the day. It's a full morning and I have clinic patients. So it doesn't fit my schedule. So I've not been able to. But like we said, prevention is key. I mean, and I don't want to say that we can stop the diagnosis of cancer, but how can we help just educate the community on what they're doing now and how it could affect them later? So it kind of correlates with the screening, is to educate them on food, activity, diet choices, lifestyle, sleep habits, all of that. So I would like to grow that side and continue on the weekends. Hopefully one day I'm not having everything on the weekends. So maybe like a 4-day a week at clinic and then 1 extra day at home for my virtual patients. So I can have more time with the family. I'm not doing it only on the weekends.
Right.
But that's long haul. It's kind of where the train goes, I guess.
You're active on social media. How did you get into that? So you're active. You're a lot of the things that we're talking about now. I've seen a lot of your videos.
Yeah.
How did that become? How did you start that, and how did it become a thing where you're like, this is a means for me to kind of communicate and educate.
So I'm actually also a Beachbody coach. Forgot to mention that. I have been probably for about 12, if not more years.
Beachbody, the P90X
the home
guys?
workout. Yeah, the P90X. Yeah. So that's kind of when I took my social media to that route. Like I
Okay.
wanted to promote healthy eating exercises, the supplements that they have, because I do like them. It was more of a sharing what I'm doing, and if you want to do it, you can do it with me.
Gotcha.
Kind of similar in aspect. So a lot of my growth and social media following started there and is just kind of swapped over now. I still am a Beachbody coach, but I can't say that I'm in that realm of life because I'm doing so much everywhere else.
Right. How does one become a Beachbody coach?
You just sign up.
That's it?
That's it. You want to be one? No, I'm just kidding.
No. I didn't even know that Beachbody was still around. I guess we don't
Yes.
see enough of. We
Yeah.
don't see that type of training anymore.
They've
There's-
changed names, so it just maybe that transition too. So now they're partners rather than coaches. So there's just some change in what they do. And they don't really do DVDs anymore. Everything's digital. So there's been a little bit of shift. So it may just be things you're seeing that are different that you maybe you didn't see from the past.
Yeah, on social media, what are some of the? How has social media actually impacted the way you work? Primarily, how has that experience impacted the way you work, or how you think of the people that you're interacting with?
I can tell you get some interesting comments. I know
Yeah.
you know. And it's to each its own, but it's such a great ability and platform to reach people you never would have reached before. Word of mouth goes far, but social media can go farther because of the sharing aspect. And like I said, people share what they like, what they do, what they succeeded with. So when you're in this realm of helping, that really helps.
How have you been able to toggle between like keeping that aspect? Because is it more business or is it more personal? And how are you managing? I'm talking about that social media.
Sure.
How are you balancing that?
So I have both. I have a personal page and I do have a business page. I try to keep my business page business driven. Personal page, I kind of do both, but I try not to overload because obviously they're there to be my friend for personal reasons, not business. But just because they're there for personal doesn't mean that they can't benefit from some of the business aspects that I do provide. So try to do a toggle of both, but try to keep more each on each playing field.
We'll be sure to add your stuff to the show notes, and see if we can, get some folks to learn some lessons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always willing.
I want to actually figure out more of what I wish is that there was a way for us to on consults get patients plugged in with dietitians and some sort of physical therapy.
Agree.
And especially given our conversation about preventative health.
Yeah. And what you see as a deconditioned person, it makes a world of difference in their recovery and their health in general, but you're trying to get them better. Well, if they're not given the tools to get better, well, not the tools, all options of tools, it just may take longer.
Yeah. Especially for people because there are people that have chronic diseases and that's all they know. So they don't really have a frame of mind where they're like, there's a better to this.
And what chronic condition can't benefit from some kind of change,
That's true.
other than just medical care? Because there's a whole world of other things that we could be providing service-wise and just help knowledge, again, education, to let the patients decide if that's something that they want to incorporate to make them feel better.
Yeah. What's a good takeaway or something that where food is concerned? What is one food that people think is healthy that it really isn't? That you, at least from what is something that's, people are like, yeah, I 100% should have this. I've heard it's really good, but in your experience,
Put me on the spot. I don't know. I mean, I would say peanut butter just because I know. No, hear me out. A lot of the peanut butters do have a lot of sugar in them. So you just have to look at labels. You have to be mindful. And that's a lot of health foods in general. They're labeled as health foods. Guess what? They don't have your general interest at heart. That's just a marketing ploy. So like protein bars, sports drinks, energy drinks, they're not all clean. And I'm talking good ingredients, not just they wiped it down clean, like a good quality product.
Right.
So peanut butter, look at the labels.
But they have like all the different kind of like peanut butters now too, like
almond, cashew. Sure.
Does that fall? And I guess
same.
You
So
just have to.
the thing is, when you start substituting, as far as like food science, when you take away something, so you make it, let's say, low fat. Guess what? You got to put something else to fill the shoes, because fat is a taste. Fat is what tastes good in food. So we got to substitute somewhere else. So it might be higher sugar to make it taste good, like it was. So when you're looking at these diet modifications for foods, which again, we're looking at diet, low calorie, low calorie. What else are we putting in to replace the calories and the fats and the carbs? You know, I've had a patient bring in carb-free tortillas. I'm like, well, what are you eating if it's a carb-free tortilla? You know, you have to start questioning food and marketing in general at some point.
Low calories is that you just made me think of something about how we're not paying attention to what's being substituted to keep something low calorie.
Yeah.
Diet Coke or Coke Zero, all these things, they're still not good for you, right?
No, absolutely not.
And then I think recently I started learning about like the substitute for sugar, aspartame being a substitute, and how that's not good for you either. For some, if someone is like, yeah, I'm not doing Coke anymore, I'm doing the Diet Coke or Coke Zero. How are you educating that patient for, especially where sodas are concerned?
Sure, we're still looking at chemicals.
Yeah,
I mean that's really what soft drinks are, right? Water, a little bit of water, some syrup, and some chemicals, some fake sugar or real sugar, depending on what you're drinking. My go-to is water, always. I mean, a lot of us are underhydrated for the most part and don't really realize how dehydration or underhydration affects you in general. So just kind of giving them that guidance as, yeah, it's okay to have it every now and then, because I'm not one to take things away. If you really love it, you can have it, but I want you to have it as a pleasure, like as a true reward for
something.
3 weeks of doing your workouts every day, you know, and it's just one. We're not going all in. It's just one, you know. I don't like to take away things because there's pleasure. I want you to be happy if this is a lifestyle, but we need to know the amount, and we need to be able to cut it off.
And not all fluid hydrates.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Your coffee with water doesn't hydrate. Okay, shout out to my patients.
Coffee with water?
Yeah, coffee made with water, right? That hydrates. Okay. Then they play it hard. 2 pots of coffee is hydrating me, right? Yeah. The things you hear.
Gatorade, Powerade.
Yes and no.
High sugar content.
Very high sugar. And you can get better sources. You can even make your own.
Oh.
Yep.
Better sources, what would you recommend? Other than water, I mean, for sure.
You can look at, so my patients, I tell them like a liquid IV, things of that nature, maybe not that specific product if they find one that they like better. But you're putting it in water. So guess what? We're drinking water instead of a sugar syrupy beverage. You can make better choices.
What about the carbonated water?
Okay.
Is that still no bueno?
I'm not sure. I've not really delved into that.
Because I have. You're
not putting anything in it, correct?
Right.
It's just water with carbonation.
Yeah. So just
if you're not gassy, go for it.
What is it called? It's not carbonated water.
It's like a soda water.
Yeah, soda water.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not having gas issues, why not?
And it's still just water. And
yeah. I mean,
okay.
Check the label. Make sure they don't throw anything sneaky in there to make it taste sweet or something like a sugar.
Yeah.
You know.
Looking at labels there's an art to that, right? There's a science to looking at labels. It can't just be like you're looking at, the ingredients. Because sometimes you look at ingredients and they're ingredients that, I don't recognize.
You can't read them.
And I can't read them exactly.
That's what you don't want. Yeah. If you can't pronounce it, it's probably not the best option. Now, granted, everything that is prepackaged has a label. So you may not be able to read everything, but the goal would be to have more of your foods that don't have labels, like your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, things of that nature that don't have as much ingredients, because that's a whole food. Like I was saying in the beginning, we want whole foods. A lot of people don't know what that means. They're eating whole foods. They're eating the whole pie or the whole cracker, but not a true whole food.
Do you have a garden?
When do I have time to garden? You heard my schedule.
I know. But you never know.
I don't have that thumb or the patience.
That's fair. What's the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist? Is there a difference?
Nutritionists do not have the degree. So you can go through a nutritionist course and be a quote unquote nutritionist, but you don't that doesn't mean necessarily sat through 4 years of school plus your internship plus your credentialing exam.
Are there things that you've encountered with like someone who's been with a nutritionist and someone who, when you're meeting them,
like a dietitian?
Yeah. Like, where you would on evaluation say, well, I wouldn't do it that way.
Not necessarily nutritionist, but I've had some just recently since I started working with someone who did meal plans. I'm not going to drop anything, but did meal plans. They had them eating the same exact thing for every Monday. This was your Monday meal. You did that every Monday, every Tuesday. So there was no variety, which is not good for your gut. And it was more drill sergeant like I was saying. And both of the clients that I talked to was like, Allison, this is not for me. I don't want to eat the same thing in repetition. I want to live my life. So that's, again, where the education piece comes in. Absolutely. We just need to figure out how we can adapt.
Meal planning is very, very hard and tedious.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. It's not something that I particularly enjoy doing. I've done it maybe once or twice in my entire life. And both of those times were just to say that I'm meal planning or meal prepping.
Put it on social media.
Yeah, something like that. Meal prep, you mentioned the lack of variety, and that's probably inherent in meal prepping, right? So because you probably cook one big thing and then you cut it up and separate it.
Yeah.
How do you incorporate variety then, and if you're meal prepping?
Sure. I mean, it's good to have leftovers. You just repeat your leftovers, but don't have the same meal every single Monday, Tuesday. Like we said, we want the rainbow. How are we going to eat the rainbow when we have the same colors or the same palette every single day?
Yeah.
So that's not living to my perception. That's not living your life as far as what you're eating, because you want to enjoy your food. And if you're getting bored, you're not enjoying it.
If you had a loudspeaker to speak to the masses, the populace, and you had one message to send, what would that message be?
Eat the rainbow.
Eat the rainbow, not Skittles.
Not Skittles. Note that.
Do not eat Skittles.
I didn't say don't eat Skittles. Come on.
That's true. In moderation.
Moderation.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been enlightening. I really appreciate you coming by.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to seeing you at work.
At work.
And on the socials.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Last Zebra. As always, we have new episodes that drop anywhere you listen to your podcasts on Monday mornings. And on Tuesdays, we have the episodes on YouTube. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one.